Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. This is Kay Unscripted and I am your girl Kay. Today we're going to be recapping Love is Blind UK Season 2 episodes 6 and 7. In these two episodes we get into all of the family and friends visits. But before we get into it, if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with a friend, and comment all of your thoughts on these two episodes. Now let's talk about what happened. So we left off with the conversation between Billy, Ashley, and her dad. She just told her dad that she's engaged and about to be married in a couple of weeks. So her dad says that this is not how things normally happen. You meet someone, you get to know them, and then you take the step for marriage. Then Ashley tells Billy, you did say that you're going to take care of me. You're going to do right by me. I feel safe with you. And so Billy says to Ashley's dad that he did come into the experience for the right reason and he's very serious about marrying Ashley. He also tells Ashley's dad that they've been challenging each other and they may not know every single thing about each other right now, but they're doing enough to know the amount that they need to get down the aisle. Ashley then says that of course it's going to be challenging, especially the first 6 months because of her job and she has to travel, and this is something that she and Billy have talked about, which I think they should have more conversation about. That's going to come up later, but we'll get into it then. Her dad tells her that he's very proud of her, especially with her work ethics, but there comes a time when she's going to have to compromise on certain things. Her dad gets very emotional talking about how much he cares for his children. And so Billy also reassures him that he did an amazing job raising his children, especially when it comes to Ashley. Ashley's dad asks her if she's happy because to him that is the thing that's most important. And so she said that she is very happy, and he then gives his blessing to Billy and Ashley and lets them know that he's going to be supporting their marriage. Ashley does something that I have never actually seen happen, but she gets a little bit choked up when she asks her dad if he would walk her down the aisle. Immediately her dad starts getting emotional as well. This was such a very beautiful scene with Ashley, her dad, and Billy, and it was just heartwarming to see how her dad approved of her relationship with Billy. Kieran plans a date night for him and Megan in their apartment. He has a nice little setup with flowers and dinner that he prepared. Megan is really happy that he put so much effort and time into preparing her a meal. Kieran tells Megan that she's going to fit right into his life and how he's so grateful that she takes such good care of him. Megan is completely smitten, okay? She's completely smitten over Kieran. She tells him that she too is also very grateful for him and he's everything that she could ever ask for. And guess what? She finally tells him the 3 words, I love you. Yay! He also says it back, and these two are just so beautiful, loving it. Now let's talk about this conversation between Javen and Jed. He's asking Jed how does he feel? Does he feel confident in saying yes to Bader on the decision day? Jed says he definitely does see himself saying yes to marrying Bader, but Javen said it is not 100% for him. Are we surprised? Absolutely not. He said he wants to get to 100%. However, he's never brought a girl home to his parents, and the Demola situation is still lingering in his mind. He needs there to be some kind of clarity to move on. Jed then asks Javen if he thinks the Demola situation has affected the experience with Katisha. Javen said that this has definitely affected the way he sees Katisha, and he just wants for the two of them to meet, sort it out, and for that to be done and over with. Jed also asked him if he trusts Katisha, and he said he does trust her, but the communication between them has been a little bit off. He then shares with Jed that he did ask Katisha to clarify what went down between Shim and Demola, and Katisha did say she told him not to worry, and he can kind of understand how Demola might be feeling. Meanwhile, Katisha is at Sarova's home, and she's checking in with Sarova to see how things are going between she and Carl. Sarova say things are going really well, and she's just waiting to meet Carl's family. Sarova also shared that her mom has been asking a lot of questions because her mom did say that she signed up for the show, not them. Sarova's mom ain't playing no games, okay? Katisha then talks about how the whole Demola situation kind of dampened the rest of the retreat for she and Javen. And she also does tell Sarova that they have been struggling because she's going with her emotions and Javen is pretty much bringing logic into the relationship. She also says that they are not aligning. Are we surprised? No. Up next, Kieran and Megan visit Kieran's apartment. Kieran's apartment looks pretty good for a bachelor, I will say. Up next, we see Billy and Ashley. They're having a drink together. They're checking in on each other. Ashley says that living with Billy has been very easy for her. She's very comfortable being around him. Billy, however, says for him, it's a learning experience and he's enjoying sharing the journey with Ashley. Ashley and Billy talk about their house chores, right? Ashley says she feels a little bit guilty because she wants to clean and do little things, but Billy kind of beats her to it. If she just had 5 more minutes, she would get up and do it. But Billy is so organized. And he tells her, don't beat yourself up about it. I just like doing those things. What I really love about this couple is the transparency between them. They talk about things. They don't bottle it up. They don't beat around the bush. They address it. And they're honest and upfront about what they're feeling and thinking. This is the way to make any marriage successful. Up next, we see Kieran's friends waiting to meet Megan. There's Harry, Joe, Chris, and Jack. So Kieran introduces Megan to all of his friends and he said it's really important for his friends to know Meg. That would help him make his decision. Kieran explains a little bit about what the experience is to his friends. And then when they ask her what does she do, she said, I'm a dancer. I can tell they were kind of processing in their mind that she was talking about a dancer, not an exotic dancer. Megan, you should have clarified that. Kieran's friends question as to why they would agree to be married after knowing each other for just 4 weeks. And so Kieran said that he hasn't seen any red flags with Megan. Things have been so good so far. And one might say that they're still in the honeymoon phase. But for him, he's been observing and hasn't seen anything yet. Kieran then says that he hasn't had that type of emotional connection with anyone. And so he's trusting the process. He did also say that he did express his love to Megan. She didn't say it back at first, but they did get to a point where she said that she was also in love with him. Jed and Bada are now on a date and they talk about how good it's been living with each other and how this is just an example of how amazing their relationship is going to be once they get married. Bada said that growing up where she grew up, women were kind of placed in a bubble. They're supposed to cook, clean, and do all of those household things, but she is just not that kind of person. Jed tells Bada that he knows she doesn't need him and she just wants him, but he wants to be the one to keep her safe. He wants to take care of her and he wants to give her everything in her life that she's ever wanted. Now we're back on the date with Kieran and his friends alongside Megan. Kieran is with one of his friends, Jack, and he's asking him, like, how are you really? Kieran said that he's really good and he's just so absolutely in love with Megan and happy. Jack, his friend, then tells him when does reality start to kick in, because this is an experiment you are kind of forced into. And I didn't like the way he said that. Nobody's being forced to do anything. They sign up for this experiment. Yes, they're placed in a position to have a lot more conversations that they wouldn't necessarily have on a first date. But to say that they're forced to do things, yeah, be careful with that. He then tells his friend that he needs his approval before he could go through with the entire process. Jack says that for him, marriage is a very serious thing and he just cannot get over the fact that they've only known each other for 4 weeks. He needs them to be at least 6 months in to know if this is really something that can last. Now the way he was talking, you would have swear he was going to say he's not down with that. But he did give his approval and tell Kieran that he supports him and Megan, and he's going to stand by him and whatever decision he decides to make. Now let's talk about this date with Katisha and Javen. He's checking in on her to see how she's feeling. She said she's feeling good. He said he feels a little bit nervous. He also says that there are still a few things that they do need to discuss before they feel comfortable enough to make such a decision. He then brings up the Demola situation and how they did talk about Katisha reaching out to Demola to squash things, to get some clarity or closure or whatever the hell it is. And she said that she's open to that. Now, I feel like when he told her, he definitely feels like she should have a conversation with him. I don't think he thought she would be calling Demola right there and then during their date, but that's what she did. She sent him a message to let him know that she would like to meet with him to talk about whatever that is unsettled, whatever closure that he needs or she needs to move on. Now we're with Sarova and Carl. Sarova is about to meet Carl's family. Sarova is meeting Carl's grandmother and his mother. They're introduced to Sarova. Carl tells them about the experiment and lets them know that they are now engaged to be married. The mom and the grandmother, they look surprised. Sarova shows them the ring and the grandmother tells her the ring is very cute. They then talk about their living situation, where they're going to relocate, and they both want to be close enough to each of their families. So I think that's going to be closer to where Sarova is living. But she did also tell them that she would like their input on where they can kind of meet in the middle so that they spend equal time with their families. His grandmother talks about her relationship with his granddad, and she kind of just tells Carl and Sarova that, listen, it doesn't matter the amount of time you know each other. There are people who meet each other in just one day and they have a lifetime being with each other. Up next is the sit down between Katisha and Demola. He said that he was a little bit surprised when she reached out to him because of how everything went down between the two of them. She tells him that she kind of wanted to check on him to see how he's doing. He said he was obviously shocked by her decision to not continue the relationship with him. He said he had even written her a proposal because he knew she was the one that he was going to pick. Demola also told her that he felt a little bit blindsided by her, and you could just see that he still is hurt by what she did to him. You could see his eyes watering up. This guy was genuinely hurt by what Katisha did to him. She said that she was blindsided too. Bullshit, you were not blindsided. Demola asked her if she genuinely saw a future with him, and this girl still said yes. So it doesn't make any kind of sense as to why she chose Javen. Even her explanation didn't make sense, and you could tell that Demola too wasn't buying it. What made me really sad about this talk between Katisha and Demola is the fact that he said good guys finish last. And like I said, she really did hurt that man so much. But Demola, I promise you, you will find your queen, and you will never have to question her or to know what she's thinking or feeling when it comes to you. Now back on the date meeting with Carl, his family, and Sarova. He also introduces her to his brother. Now this was a very interesting conversation between Carl and his brother. His brother asked him if he's really going to stick around, right? And he said, yes, he wouldn't be so invested if he didn't really want to see the relationship through, as in getting married. Now, here's where things got interesting. His brother asked him if he thinks he will really be able to put Sarova first. He does feel like Sarova will be able to put him first, but in order for a relationship to work, each party has to make sure that this person is their number one priority. And Carl has kind of had a struggle with putting his partner first when it comes to a relationship. His brother did say if his life depended on it, he doesn't think that relationship is going to last. That was very interesting. I don't know, y'all. We're going to have to see what happens between Kyle and Saruva. Up next, Bada and Jed are going to meet Bada's mother and father. Jed talks about how genuine and wholesome Bada is, and he really likes that about her. They seem to be meshing and getting along with each other. Jed also said that he wasn't able to get her dad's hand in marriage because they were obviously in the pods, and he does ask for his blessing. The father does give his blessing to Jed and Bada. There's a chat between Katisha and Javen. She's apparently back from talking to Demola, and she's filling him in on how the conversation went down. She said that Demola said he was blindsided by her decision. She's saying that she just kind of had the conversation with him to give him clarity, to clear whatever he needed to get cleared up in his mind. She didn't really apologize, but she just said what she needed to get off her chest. Now, Ashley and Billy go to the supermarket. They're shopping. Clearly, these two are not agreeing when it comes to food. Ashley likes her sweets and a little cake sometimes. She likes to eat a little bit of carb. However, Billy, on the other hand, he likes to eat clean. Billy says that the only time that diet comes out in the picture is when it's Christmas time. And so Ashley's like, well, your diet is going to have to change when it comes to me, because I do like to have some cake and some candy sometimes. I feel like this is something that they should definitely compromise on. Billy, it's not that deep. It's not that serious. Let Ashley have her cake, please. So we move to episode 7. We're now at Billy and Ashley's apartment. There's definitely some tension. Ashley tells him she feels completely overwhelmed because of the way he speaks about food. Billy said that while most of his life is based on a regimen, he doesn't feel that way towards food, but he would like to have some days where he controls his calories. Ashley tells him that it seems that he controls his food, but for her, food is not a control thing. She talks about being very young and how eating and putting on a little bit of weight caused her confidence to boost, and so she likes eating more. She likes eating what she wants to eat. Ashley then tells him that she feels guilty having her sweets and her treats because of the way Billy responded. He does apologize to her and tells her she doesn't have to feel guilty and she doesn't have to follow any strict rules when it comes to food. He doesn't expect her to be the same way as him. Up next, Bada's friend is coming over to meet Jed, and she was definitely grilling the hell out of Jed. She wasn't letting him breathe at all, but Jed held it together. He answered all of the questions. He said how much he appreciates Bada, how much she stood out from all the other girls in the pods, how they connected on their cultures, and how amazing of a person Bada is and how she has just fit into his life. Now we're over at Carl's and Saruva's. Saruva opens up about how her mom has been sending her a bunch of paragraphs. She did talk about how being the eldest sister, she's had all these expectations placed on her and she's always had so much pressure to do things right. And now that she's kind of taken her own path, her mother is kind of concerned as to what is going on. Is she okay? But she said that she just wants to live her life for herself. Now, I didn't necessarily like the response that Carl gave, because he said that it's easy for Saruva's family to discredit him, and I don't think it's really about Carl. I just think it's about Saruva. It has nothing to do with him. And he said a statement that I felt was a little bit harsh, but he said either she gets on board with it or she doesn't, and I just feel like that's a little too much for me, Carl. But he did say he's going to reassure her mom and her family and let them know that he's in it for the right reasons. Over at Javen's home, Katisha is visiting, and he has a really nice apartment, I must say. They get to talking about how she feels possibly living in the house. We know that's not going to happen because they're not going to get to that point. But anyways, she sees herself being there, him bringing her morning coffee, and he's like, maybe you could tell that man don't want to bring you nothing. But that wasn't even what was strange about their conversation. Katisha talks about wanting their schedules to align because she would definitely love to have dinner with her husband. Okay, so here's what Javen says. Well, how often are you talking about I need numbers? He said that he works late. So 4 days out of the week, he's not going to be able to have dinner with her unless she wants to eat late. She says, well, that's fine because I eat late anyways and I work out after. So he's like, how late do you eat? She said 9, 10. He's like, but I need to be in bed by 10. Javan is not he is not willing to do anything to make Katisha comfortable. And she still thinks this man wants her. Okay. Then he's like, my mom said, a promise is a comfort to a fool, so I'm not making any promises to you. Katisha, go. Now, Katisha is meeting Javan's mother and sister for dinner at his place. He then tells his sister and his mother that he went to the experiment. He proposed to Katisha and they're getting married. Baby, the way his sister's face got so serious, she's like, what the hell is Javen doing? Why is he doing? Why is this boy playing with this girl? So now Katisha is having a one-on-one chat with his sister. She's asking like, what the hell is going on? So she talks about how similar she and Javen have been. And his sister just pretty much tells her, listen, Javen is the baby. He's a hard book to read. It's not going to be easy to learn Javen. She said that it's been difficult for her with Javen when it comes to vulnerability. His sister then says that Javen has been through a lot, especially with his football career that didn't quite work out the way he expected it to, and this is why he is so tough. This is why he has his walls up, but eventually the soft side is going to come out. That's not happening. Up next, Ashley is meeting Billy's dad. His dad then asks them, is it very real for you? Like, what is going on? I guess that's a question all of the families are going to have. Ashley said it's been amazing, but they have definitely had their ups and downs. Billy's dad then shares his concern when it comes to Ashley's job because he did say before Billy went on the experiment, this was definitely the job that he didn't want his partner to have. And now he's come home with a girl who is in that exact job. Billy said that this is something that they're going to have to work through and continue to communicate about. Now let's talk about this cast meetup because even though every time the cast come together, things get very messy. So all of the engaged couples are now at the venue. And so we see a chat between Javen and Kieran. He's asking Kieran if he needs to be in love before he gets married. And Kieran says yes. And he also said that he has to genuinely see his life with that person. Javen says, well, what if you do see your life with that person, but you haven't said you love them? So Kieran tells him, but how can you see the rest of your life with someone if you don't love them? He said that's the position he's in. But he is not in love. He's definitely not in love with Katisha. Clearly, he's not in love with Katisha because by his behavior, later on in the episode when he gets to see some of the girls is very telling. Now she goes over to Megan and Saruva. Saruva is telling them how she's having difficulty with her mom, who is having difficulty with the process with Saruva being engaged, and the fact that she's not very involved in the planning of the wedding. Sarova is saying that she's in a tough position because if her mom doesn't support her relationship with Carl, she's not willing to let go of Carl. So she's going to have to make some tough decisions and go along with her relationship with Carl and maybe have a strained relationship with her mom. So while they're all talking to each other, Patrick and his spleen walks in and immediately all of the spleen jokes are coming out. Anyway, he tells the guys that he only got kind of friendship vibes from Anu. Then we see Anu coming in, the girls all run to meet her, and we literally see we see Patrick and his spleen saying damn because he saw how beautiful Anu was looking that night. So Anu starts hugging all of the guys, introducing herself, and once she gets to Mr. Spleen, he's like, yeah, no, not doing that. So everyone's mixing and mingling, and then we see a conversation between Anu and Javen. He's literally drooling over Annie, right? Well, she asked him, do you think we should have dated more? And he's literally nodding his head like, yes. And I'm just like, why are you behaving that way? You're engaged. Why are you even entertaining that kind of conversation with Annie, a single woman? Then we see Demola and Javen having a conversation. He tells Demola that the process has been very intense. Demola is telling Javen that he always knew Katisha had to make a decision, but the way she switched up so quickly in 24 hours, for him it was a blessing in disguise, but if he wants to believe at that, then that's on him. Then we see Sophie. Sophie is walking in, and then she walks up to the guys introducing herself. Then we see Charlie and Kieran talking, and Kieran says that she's an attractive girl. But tell me why was Javen breaking his neck looking over like, oh my god, who is this? Did these two have a connection that we didn't really get to see? Because I'm just like, the way he's looking at Sophie is very telling. Now, Sophie walks up to the girls and Saruva is telling her who each of the guys are. Now, when she comes to point out Kieran, she identifies Kieran with the funky jacket. Sophie says to Megan, I don't know why you let him wear that jacket. And I was just like, Sophie, keep quiet. Girl. Then there's a sit down with Anu and Patrick, and I didn't understand it at all because I don't know why Anu was still expecting Patrick to reach out to her. I don't know why she thought she would have gotten an engagement from Patrick when you guys were not aligning at all. And that's all I'm going to say about this sit down. Now, Kieran walks over to Megan and lets her know that he's going to have a conversation with Sophie. And I just love how Megan said, don't let her tell you your jacket is ugly because it's not. Period. So Kieran walks up to Sophie and he tells her he first wants to thank her for being a part of his experience. He also talked about when he gifted Megan the ornament and he said he didn't handle that situation in the best and he just wanted to apologize for the way he made her feel. I loved that Kieran was the bigger person. Sophie is still full of herself and she hasn't changed one bit. She's like, oh, I don't get rejected in real life. So I'm just like, well, girl, bye. Now this girl stands in Katisha's face talking about you guys have gorgeous lads, right? She hugs Katisha only to be drooling over Javen. What type of person are you, Sophie? Now you could tell both of them just couldn't wait to talk to each other because tell me why she's telling this engaged guy, oh, I cannot sit down in this dress because everybody's going to see my vagina. Like what? Girl, what? What the hell is wrong with you, Sophie? So she asked him if he's happy and he's like, I'm always happy. And she's like, I mean, do you think you made the right decision? She asked him that question twice and he was trying to avoid it. And he said, well, you know, there are still hurdles that we need to get through. And I just feel like that entire conversation between Javen and Sophie was beyond inappropriate. Your fiance is literally in the same room as you and you're over there by the bar flirting with a single woman when you're engaged. She's telling him, what do you want from me? And he's like, nothing right now. Like, what is going on? Sophie is telling him how they were so connected. She feel like there's something with them. And I'm thoroughly confused because this man is engaged to be married, planning a wedding, about to meet his fiance's family the next day. She then tells him there's so much more that they need to talk about. They have unfinished business. And I'm just like, what do you all have to say that y'all cannot see right now? They're laughing. Katisha is turning around. She's hearing them. And I am confused, like, are we missing something? So 1 hour later, they're back at the apartment. You could tell that Katisha is upset about something. She isn't really saying what it is, but they're sitting down and they're eating. She asked him about his chat with Sophie. He said it was all right. He then says that he had an interesting chat with Demola. But again, Katisha is upset about something. She decides that she's going to go to bed. Him, on the other hand, decides that he's going out. He comes into the room. He tells her that he is going out. Katisha starts to cry. And this is where the episode ends. Y'all, so much happened in these 2 episodes. Please tell me all of your thoughts. What do you think about the whole conversation between Katisha and Demola? Tell me what's your thoughts also on how Javen behaved at the mixer with the other cast, especially Sophie, Yolanda, and Anu. Please let me know what you're thinking. Go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.